And here we are.
Here we are. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm
Good.
excited for our show. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be fun. We got GFM here, and
Yeah. So how cool is that? And it's our second time having them on the
this
show.
is our second time having GFM with us, and the
My
first time I will
with
just
them.
say was a logistical nightmare. The sound was off. It was. It was like the garage band version of what a podcast should be. So it was no good. But
and you were on your own, and
yeah, you weren't feeling so hot.
No, and I miss being present with them on the show. So I'm very excited to have them back. And
well, it's good to have you back. I mean, it's as you know, I moved you over to the left side of the screen, which we were saying is the Brad Pitt filter, because not that you can improve on that, but
Bob, and it's just something that you and I have to live with. When you're this good looking, it's a cross that you have to bear.
Right. It's a Bob thing, and it's if you're not a Bob, you will never understand what it's like.
You'll never understand.
Good. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. So I have shocking information. 10 days until Christmas.
10 days. Yes.
Does that seem possible to you?
It doesn't. In Wisconsin here today and tomorrow, we're going to be setting record highs at 61 degrees. And then after that, we'll go back to our highs of 20 degrees. But it's just, it doesn't seem like it's possible.
No. Wow. So you'll probably have a white Christmas.
Yep. It's already white outside, but we'll lose a lot of that today and tomorrow. But Sonic Grace, look at that mug.
Yeah, and of course, matching shirt.
Yeah, you got to have it. Buffalo plaid is. I'm wondering when you're going to start a lumberjack metal genre.
I don't think that I haven't thought about
it. Right. So, Sonic Grace says, "Hey Bob, morning dudes."
Good morning. Good morning.
Kira says, "Good morning."
Good morning, Kara.
And Mike. Hey,
our
PB.
Good friends are on today. Good to see you, Mike.
Yeah, we got Roger from the Metal Church over in New York.
Yes, good to see you, Roger.
And let's see, we got Gail.
Gail Klinsky, good friend.
Nice.
In South Dakota. Yeah.
This guy we've seen around a few times, Mr. Gary Ayrton.
We know this guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary.
When I first started coming to Cornerstone again in 2010, Gary was the first guy I was told to meet up with to get my all access pass.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Gary used
Austin
to run the
says
stage
good morning.
There. Yeah. Austin, good to see you, dude.
Morning, gents.
Paul Martin is here. We got all the cool people in the house today, don't we?
We got a really cool show this morning. We got GFM. They're already in the green room, and my understanding is their mom woke them up way too early. So they're on Eastern time, and so we're on Central. So it was a little, and I gotta confess, I messed up. I sent their mom the request. Their mom is their road manager, and I sent them a request, and I said, "Would you be on our Tuesday show?" And their mom sent me a text yesterday saying, "Where's the link?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have just a few things going, and I completely dropped the ball." So. Here, these young ladies are all done up, ready for the show, and I guess they had to go to Walmart or something. I don't know.
We suck.
We do suck. We're just a
little bit.
So,
yikes.
George Knapp. It's probably Knapp, not Knapp. Says good morning.
Good morning, George.
So
he looks very lumberjack there. Also,
I would say so.
See?
Cool he says audio feed tickets are going to be on sale today. Praying the festival can happen. Yes.
Wow. I hope it can happen this year too. We'd love to see that.
Right. And I want to encourage those that are watching right now, if you have questions for GFM, they're going to be on in about 10 minutes. We will certainly do our best to address some of these questions with the ladies. And
yes,
that would be great. Of course, GFM's no stranger to audio feed and many of the festivals. So
yes.
Yeah. Well, Austin here says Thankfully, you're on the other side of the screen and not in person, PB2. Wow. That cut deep. That cut real deep.
Well, it's just because of your good looks, Bob.
That might be.
People
Yeah.
are intimidated.
I just trimmed all of this today, so it's
nice.
Yeah, it's when you're always wearing a winter hat up here in Wisconsin, it's like, why even have hair? Because you're just gonna.
Well, exactly. You're just gonna cover it up anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yep. But it makes for a nice shine.
It does. You look good. You look marvelous.
I'm thinking about growing the beard out more. So
here.
We'll see.
Are you?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
They say
then wear your lumberjack.
I've heard a beard is a chandelier for the face. I like that.
Oh, I like that.
It's nice.
Okay, then.
And the other one up
about that.
Yeah, and the other one up here in the cold area is a beard is your what's the saying? A beard is your own made scarf, something to that effect. So
that's true. Kind of keeps this part, if you have your top button open on your shirt, it keeps this part warm.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So Gary says Cornerstone was a lot of work, but so worth it.
Yeah, it really was, Gary. And we need to have him back. We need to have Gary working with audio feed.
Yeah, that would be really good.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alan Harris says, good morning, Pastor Bob and GFM. What a combo.
What a combo. I know. Yeah. I don't know. We may break the cameras because all these good looking people in one room. What are you going to do? Yes, Sonic Grace says keeps the chin warm. It does keep the chin warm.
Yep, it does.
Yes, I haven't seen my chin for a long time.
We are ready. Yeah, we are ready for new music. #GFM.
So, we'll have to ask him about that, Bob.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of great shows coming up.
We do.
And if I could just give a little preview, and this is one of those things that you kind of tickle people's ears and go, and coming up, but coming up in future shows, we have, next week we have Greg Manier from Applehead, from Crucified. We have Tim Pope with us, who's my good friend.
No, not too many people are going to know who Tim Pope is, but go ahead and list his credentials.
Well, he used to be Ray Charles' drummer.
There you go.
And we know Ray Charles. And currently he is the drummer and has been for the last 25 years probably for Tony Orlando. And a lot of people don't know who Tony is, but they would recognize his songs most likely.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've got Tim Pope. We've got Terry Tripp. We have Tom Jackson. We have some really great people from the industry and from ministry. Yeah.
Was Tony Orlando the one who sang "Tie the Yellow Ribbon" around the old oak tree? Okay.
He was. Yeah.
Yep. Because I keep thinking, and other people think, the song "It's Not Unusual to Be Loved by," but that's Tom Jones.
That's Tom Jones.
There you go.
No, he did.
And that concludes my singing for this morning. So
hallelujah. So no, he did that. He did Knock 3 Times.
Yep.
On the Ceiling. Yeah, he did. He had some really great songs. Every time we had a war or a skirmish or whatever, his Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree would be popular again, because that's kind of what it was about.
Yeah.
And so I asked Tony one time, I said, you've been doing that song now for decades. Aren't you just sick to death of it? I mean, every time you do that song and some of the old ones, doesn't this ever get just old for you? And he goes, every time I sing that song, I hear the cash register.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bob, we have a segment that we like to do on this show, and it's called "Where Are You? Where in the world are you?" And I'd like to invite our audience from wherever you're at. We would like you to join us, show us around a little bit, whether it's your street, the hometown you live in, something interesting. But if you'd like to be on the show, Bob, we can put our email address here and just write to us and say, I'd like to be on the show. Here's where I live. Would you consider it? So
yeah. All you
that
need
would
to
be
all you really need to be on the show is either a decent smartphone, an Apple, no, but any decent smartphone or a computer with or a tablet or a computer with a microphone and camera, and you can be on.
And that's it. It's simple, and it's not. Yeah, anybody can do it, and
and
we just send you a link. Yeah.
And we've had some people in from pretty exotic places, like our friend from Norway and other places. It doesn't matter where you're from. You can be in, Belgium, or you can be in Tickfart, Louisiana. We want to see where you're at,
We like that. And especially if you're in Tickfart, Louisiana, we'd especially like to hear from you.
Yes. But don't think just because you're in a place that it's not impressive, we still would love to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a good friend, Carrie West. His mom was Dottie West, the famous country singer.
Yeah.
And he lives on Tater Peeler Road.
That's awesome.
There you go. And so every once in a while, there's a road, a town that you just think, where in the world did they come up with that name?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Reminds me of the comedian Ron White, where he says, they call me tater salad, so.
So, Bob, I'm drinking a little bit of the brew this morning.
And I was going to say, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't plug it already.
I know. Headbangers Brew.
We've been away for a while, so we're trying to get in this groove again, but Headbanger Brew.
Yeah.
And Hayden even updated your graphic.
It is the best coffee.
It is. It really is the best coffee. And Hayden has updated your graphic to look like Santa. And
for Christmas. And Bob, just for a little preview for our watchers today, we have tea coming.
Wow, there you go.
Headbangers Brew, and it's called Intensity. I know.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. And so we are just kind of in the final analysis, trying to get the best blends, and we're working on it and adding some things. But I think it's going to be great. Cool. One more thing I wanted to say before we bring the girls on.
Yeah.
Social media, if you're a Christian or if you're controversial at all these days and you don't agree with specific narratives, you're getting kicked off all the time. And we are dangerously close to that right now. And it's nothing but our Christian content. It's been called hate speech. And it's we're just hoping we have one more strike against us and we're out. So, we're kind of treading on thin ice, but we're opening up Rumble, and Rumble is a really great alternative.
Yeah.
And I've gone to Rumble. I've been posting on there for maybe 6 months now. And we're going to start moving a lot of our stuff on there. And Bob, I'm hoping that we can start broadcasting live on there as well.
Yeah, we'll have to look for a patch on this program to see if we can get it over there. So,
but if you want to join me on Rumble for my Pastor Bob's coffee break, it is just that, rumble.com/Pastor Bob's coffee break. And I'd love for people to join me there, because if we get canceled, on Facebook or whatever, and we're ramped down, people can't hardly even find us now anyway.
Yeah.
So, we need to have some alternatives, and that would be one. So anyway, there we go.
That's good to know.
Well, we've got the girls.
Okay, here we go.
There we go. It's a vision of loveliness.
There we go.
And I was just watching while we were chatting, Maggie. That was probably one of the longest yawns I've ever seen when you were sitting there waiting for the show to start.
I'm not.
So,
used
ladies,
to early.
it is so good to meet you. I wasn't here last time, and I'm glad you agreed to come back. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us again.
And I just want you to know something really important, and that is that your music doesn't suck. It's very good. I like it. And all over the world, when we started to announce that you were going to be on the show today, I got, I just got a text this morning from a friend in Switzerland and from a few other countries that's saying, oh, these girls are my favorites.
Aww.
And can I just tell you also, our resident artist, Hayden, who is the best, and he does comic books and he does all kinds of stuff. Shout out to Hayden, because you are his favorite band.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah. Well, I am interested in asking all of the general questions. And, I understand what it's like to do interviews. You get asked some of the same questions over and over and over again. And so we are really happy today to ask you some of those questions. Yeah. But I'd love to hear, now, you are all related.
Yes.
Yeah. And people ask you, who's the oldest, who's the youngest, what do you play, all of that. So fill us in.
Yeah, I'm CJ. I'm the oldest. I play lead guitar and I do kind of like the main vocals.
Yeah, I'm Maggie.
Awesome.
I'm the middle sister, and I play bass and I do like the growls and unclean vocals, and then I do some clean vocals too.
I'm Lulu.
Awesome.
I'm the drummer, and I am the youngest.
All right.
I like the question that just came up on the screen. It says, "Are they metal?" Not heard them.
Yes.
Well, picture, I guess the best I could answer that. Just it's like Amy Grant, but different.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
Like that.
For Rich, they are metal. Absolutely. Can you explain to us just what? Because until we've met you, we've never really heard of beautycore before. So, and that's the genre you kind of put yourself into. So.
Yeah. So we were met with so many people telling us that we weren't metal or we weren't rock or we weren't pop punk because we are so sporadic with our music tastes, and we don't want to just stick with one thing because we get so bored with it on stage and off stage. We want to enjoy playing what we create, and we also want our listeners to enjoy hearing it. And so each song is pretty different. There's metal, there's rock, there's pop punk, there's Christmas covers, but we enjoy all the different kind of genres mixed together. And it's what you get when you have three different people who listen to three different things come together and write music. So we got so tired of people just saying, oh, you're not this, and then asking us well, what are you? And when we would give them an answer, it was never good enough. Mm-hmm. So we created beautycore, which is just a mix of all of those sounds with a female fronted or female group band. And we created it as a joke at first, just to make fun of the situation. And a lot of people told us to run with it and create that as our actual genre. And Urban Dictionary picked it up, and we kind of just ran with it. And now it's our brand. Now people have T-shirts, and there's other bands who identify as beautycore, which is really, really cool to see other women in the industry come together and be a part of that. And it kind of is just a fun thing to do because we love so many different types of music, and honestly, just labeling ourselves as just metal or just rock or just pop punk or just whatever. It was never us. We always changed it. We were well, what are you? We would just change it for fun. So we're now we can identify as this, and it's whatever we want it to be. Because that's what music should be.
Is heavy.
Absolutely.
It definitely is. Does have a heavy.
And I think that's part of the charm, isn't it? To be able to be that versatile, and you have some bands that every song sounds kind of a bit like the last one. And to have something that's very fresh and different and a good variety, I think, is awesome. Now, it's a little unusual for people your age, especially women. And I've worked with some women in heavy metal, and we've got some great ones. The singer for Vixen years ago used to come to my church, and of course we've had several others that have done metal, but it's a little bit unusual and unique and refreshing, frankly. But now, did you grow up with metal? Did you listen to it growing up? How did you get involved?
Not really.
No?
We listened
Yeah.
to 80s hair metal.
Yeah,
Like, we're
our
big
dad was a
80s
big
fans.
like 80s hair band fan, and so we grew up with like Motley Crue and Bon Jovi and Kiss and
Def Leppard.
Van Halen and Def Leppard and all those bands. And so that was as
Yeah.
happy as we thought music got.
Yeah.
And we started taking guitar lessons and drum lessons, and we went to this music school, and they were like, introduced us to bands like Periphery, and they went,
And
okay,
Mastodon.
yeah,
And we're like, what is
yeah,
this?
we're like, what is this? What is this music? And they're like, we have tickets. All of our students get to go to this festival called Welcome to Rockville, because we do a student experience, so you get to understand what people do behind the scenes. So if you don't make it in the music side, you can be management, you can be crew, you can be people who make guitars.
Yes.
And like the
PR
presidents
people.
of the companies. Like we met with PRS, Orange Amps,
Gator Cases.
Gator Cases. We met their presidents, and we're like, this is so cool. This is
And
very
they let you
interesting.
they take you through like the PR tent, so you can see like all the radio interviewers and stuff. And so we saw bands like Bring the Horizon there, and A Day to Remember, Emotionless and White. We're like, whoa! Like we didn't understand it at first, and we saw the crowd reaction. We're like, we want to do that.
Yeah.
That is cool.
We definitely owe it all to Maggie. It was funny because I didn't even know this. So we've played with 7 Day Slumber. They're a big, like, what would you say the genres, like rock?
Like a Christian rock.
Christian rock. And Maggie actually listened to them on Pandora before we even got like did music really like as GFM. And then now we're like best friends with all of them. So it's just really funny how like, because Maggie's the one that introduced us to all the type of music.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just find all these bands, and then we like make it our like goal to go on tour with them, and it happens, and it's like it's really weird.
Now there's a story there. I've heard that your dad loved listening to Petra as well, and that you girls actually sang some of the old Petra songs.
we did.
Yeah.
We sang Creed,
We sing
First
Minefield.
Love, Minefield, Jacqueline Hyde. I feel like there's one more.
This means war.
Oh
This
yeah,
Means
This
War.
Means War.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually got to see them perform. I don't even think we were
Yeah,
playing yet,
We saw
but it was in, I think it was West Virginia.
King's
It was
Dominion.
it was at a park called King's Dominion, and they were holding King's Fest.
So we got to actually watch them perform.
There you go. Now I'm gonna. You mentioned that your dad listened to '80s glam rock hair metal stuff. So Pastor Bob was instrumental in all of that movement with the Christian genre. Let me show you what big hair really looked like. This is Pastor Bob then. Let's see if we can.
Oh my goodness.
Is that up on the screen
funny.
there?
I feel like
No, it's not.
No. Okay.
the fashion goes back in time.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to go back to like the 80s hair. The mullets are back. The
Yeah.
fake Pat Benatar kind of.
There we go.
Yeah, that it was like my dream. I recently just got, it's called like the shag. I think about right before we went on tour this summer, and it was a lot shorter, so it was a lot poofier.
It's like the Joan Jett.
Yeah,
hair.
I was living my Joan Jett dreams. And I goes, it's so much easier because I cut all my hair up about 2 years ago. So I cut up like 20 inches. And I was like, this is so much easier to headbang. And so when I would swing my hair around,
It is. That's
like, it would
right.
just fluff out. And I was like, this is amazing.
Well, how fun is that? So I have to tell you a story. You know, I'm almost 70 years old now, so I have a million stories. But when we were first introducing the kind of the Christian growl sound, I wanted to put a band together that would be on the edge, kind of before the edge was there. So we studied Slayer, we studied Venom, we studied some bands that were popular at the time, and we put together a band called Vengeance, and later became Vengeance Rising, and so it was the first Christian band that had the growls, and And we were in huge trouble. We were getting all kinds of mail telling us that it was satanic, and we've weathered that storm. Well, I've been working with pioneering Christian rock for 50 years now this year. But uh, but it was extremely controversial, and we didn't have much money for the album. You know what that's like. You kind of scrimp and you save, and okay, how are we going to do the artwork? How are we going to do this and that? And so I asked Petra, who have been good friends for a whole lot of years. They were in the studio, and I said, "What are you doing in the studio, like when you go to bed at night?" And they said, "Well, there's nothing going on." And I said, "Could we come in and record this new album when you're not in the studio?" And they were excited about it. So at the same time was a new Petra album and the birth of Vengeance. And I just thought, how unique is this? The bridge from the 70s almost and 80s, and this was the 90s, almost 90s. So, Christian music has always been progressive. I think it gets more and more exciting as we go. And the 80s bands were awesome. The movement was awesome. But I think our best days are ahead. And I think some of those days have to do with these three ladies and what you're about to do. I'm excited for you. That's awesome.
We're definitely really thankful for all the opportunities that people have given us, and it's definitely not just us and our talent. Like, it goes so much more into it, like with our parents for pushing us, and for even like cutting music lessons. Like, we didn't really even know kind of like, you're like, yeah, we just play instruments, but we didn't know like the whole band and our future, what would come of it. We think like all of our friends and our family and our fans just believing in us. Like, when we posted out about the Fozzy tour, all the comments were like, I knew this was going to happen. We've been there for you for like 4 or 5 years. And like, I feel such proud parents or proud family. And it's just, we've built this kind of community that has been so blessing to like each side. So it's made us grow. It's made us be accountable. People have asked us questions that I don't think I've ever been able to ask about my faith, to dive deeper into it. And it made us grow closer as a family, because being pushed into such a platform of responsibility, you have to be strong. And so it pushed us to communicate more. And I don't know, it's just been such a blessing, like all the way around.
That is so awesome.
Yeah,
well, I think, Bob, people are asking this one question, and that is, what's next for the band? Somebody says, when's the new album coming out?
Yep, there was one that asked when the new album's coming out. Another one asked when you're coming to Norway or Sweden.
There you go.
So we did just get out of the studio in LA. We finished that up at the end of November. So it's currently being like mixed and finished, all the finishing touches and stuff right now. So it's really exciting. It's definitely a lot of fun music, and it's a mature GFM sound, but we were able to take these songs into a live rehearsal studio before we recorded them. That way we could see if they worked better live, and instead of changing them for the live show, it's like we had the live show recorded now. And so it captures that energy of a live show. And so it's just so much fun that is captured into these. It's really cool.
There was so much like possibility when we did it that way, because we've done it like recording basically all the ways you can. We've tried them all, and I think we collectively liked this a lot better. Just being able to capture that live momentum in it, because we are such like lovers of just being on stage and performing, and especially like energy that bounces off us and the crowd, and that's like, it's so captivating to just be a part of. So to be able to put that into a CD and to hear it is something I don't think we ever thought we could do. Just because we're told so many times, like when you record an album or EP or any type of music, people want it to be like 100% perfect and like polished and sound like it's in a studio. And our producer that we worked with, Barry, he was like, you want it to be you, and you guys like together as a band performing sound great, and the energy is like nothing else, and we want to capture that in a CD. And it was so fun to be able to do that, and to be able to kind of perform together before we went and even recorded, and just kind of act as if we were playing all the songs live. And it was really, really cool. And it was a really new experience for us. So at first we were a little like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if we should do this. But
yeah, he was like, let's just jam for a little bit. We were like, we don't know how to jam. What do you mean?
Yeah. But it ended up just,
it is learning. So do you have a performance coach then that kind of helps you to visualize your songs and put them out there?
We kind of
that's
just
us.
do it all
We do it
ourselves.
ourselves.
Our dad is a really big, like we said, he's a really big 80s fan. And so he went to a lot of shows then. And he's like, people today have lost the show aspect. And so he's helping us bring back stuff. Like that's why we wear the cheerleading outfits and have the big stage makeup and stuff and the big boots, because he loved Kiss. And he's like, they have a stage presence. So you have to have a stage presence. And he loved the business of like all the bands like Motley Crue and stuff. And so he's like, you have to be that crazy thing. People don't want to just see you there playing music. They want to see a show. They're coming in and they're paying to see a show. And so
he actually runs all of our special effects. He does the sparklers, the like several types of slot machines, all of the lights. Yeah, it's really a lot of the shows to him.
Yeah, he does a lot of research. He like goes back and watches videos. He's like, okay, you see what this band did? You need to try and do it. And so we try and fit it into our set some way. And some practices that we do is literally just for choreography. We're not even like worried about playing the songs right. We're just worrying about like moving around and getting it to look right.
Well, there's an art to it, isn't there?
There definitely is, yeah.
It's part of an art and part of just being able to like be imaginative with your music and not just treat it as music and treat it as an experience and something that you can visually represent as well as like
yes. Makes a huge difference. My friend Tom Jackson actually is a performance coach. That's what he does for a living. He's worked with so many bands. He'll be on the show in a couple of weeks. But it isn't easy. It's one thing to write a song. It's another thing to practice it and knowing what to perform, but knowing how to perform it, that takes a little bit of work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So someone asked if you use pyro live in your shows.
Yeah.
So we use these sparklers that aren't technically real fire just because we haven't gotten to the stage where we feel like people will let us use fire.
There's a lot of like legal things and documents you have to sign, and
we would love to use like fire or like fireworks one day, but
we
feel like we have to get to another level before that.
We have to have like a fire department within
so
like
cool.
a radius or something. Like we feel like there's too much, and we already have to do too much of the show.
Like once we get to a little bit of a higher level, there's less stuff to worry about. Maybe we can start bringing fire in and stuff.
There you go. And one guy here, Brandon, says Maggie spits fire. So I'm not sure what that's about.
Awesome.
Our dad really wanted me to try and learn how to like breathe fire for a while. And I was like, I have too much hair. I did not want to get caught on fire.
He's seriously into
I was going to ask you about that. That could be a problem. You know, it's a good thing that it isn't.
It's all flammable. I did not want to do that.
It's a good thing that it isn't the days of 80s glam with the big hair and all the hairspray, because I think you might go up in smoke.
Yeah.
You know?
I literally, there was like a heated conversation. I was like, Dad, you don't understand. I don't want to catch on fire.
That's awesome. Ladies, I couldn't be more excited for you. I know that God has some fantastic things for you in the future. And Bob, we're going to be excited to watch you as you grow and mature in your music and in your faith. And we're so excited to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been great.
Thank you for having us.
You bet.
Blessings to you. And we'll have to have them on the show sometime, Bob, after the album comes out.
Yeah, and until then, they can go to the gfmband.com and certainly take a look at everything that's going on there.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Awesome ladies, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a very good group. So always really nice that they are able to take time out to be on the show and talk about music and everything. Boy, their dad really is into Kiss, isn't he? With the boots and then the fire breathing and
yeah. But you know, they were the ultimate performers.
Oh yeah.
Really.
Yeah, they really didn't have, I mean, I'm not a huge Kiss fan, but they knew how to market themselves and have stage presence.
Yes, they really did. Yeah. And yeah, Gene Simmons is probably the marketing genius.
Yep. I
He's
think
done
so.
it many times. Yes. Well, we've got pre-recorded message from Johnathan.
Okay, here we go.
How's it going, everyone? I'm coming at you from a little bit of a different location with a little bit of a different theme here today. So today we're going to be going over a little bit of the website for those of you who haven't purchased anything from the Sanctuary Metal Shop. We have, of course, here the wearemetalwearefamily.com. And you can see if you scroll down here, you can look at the merch store right here. And you can see a variety of products that we sell here. And of course, the coffee, we are now all stocked up on everything other than the 5-pound bags, but everything else is now back in stock. We have it all set up in the store for you guys. We thank you guys so much for all of your support and everything. And head on over to the website and enjoy yourself some good coffee. Thank you, guys.
He's awesome.
Yep, he is. He's a good guy. He knows what all about the coffee and the store and all of that.
Yes. And we've actually been out of K-Cups, and I believe that for those people that keep asking, we're about to have them back in. And I believe the 5-pounders are back in too now. So,
that's good.
Hopefully. But, Bob, what a nice problem to have that we keep selling out of stuff.
It is. You guys, I mean, and not even joking about this. I work at a non-for-profit warming shelter in our city, besides being a pastor. And one day they ran out of K-Cups, and so I snuck a bunch of my Headbanger brew K-Cups in, and it was the talk of the office, wondering where is this from and what is it?
I love to hear that.
Yeah, it was really it really is a good coffee.
Yeah, it is. There's a coffee shop that I go to that has the worst coffee around, and it isn't Starbucks. It's a local thing.
That's where my mind was going.
Yeah, I know. And Starbucks isn't my favorite, but it's better than this stuff. And the people are so nice, and I go there, and the Wi-Fi is fast, and it's a great place to sit and work and get away from the office here. And but the coffee is so bad. So I order 1 cup, put some cream in it, and down it, and then I take my Sanctuary travel mug with me. It's in my briefcase.
Yeah.
And it holds about 20 ounces. And then I pour from there into their mug for the rest of the time so I can drink Headbanger's brew. And I always tell people that I only pretend to drink the coffee when I'm out. Once you've had the best, it's hard to go back.
Yeah, it is. And that was the coffee that converted me back in May when I visited you. It was cold, and I had a cup, and I was sold on it, and
awesome.
It's a good, rich, dark roast. And I think I actually have more chest hair as a result of drinking it.
Well, and it makes you a man.
It does.
It does. Unless you're a woman, and then of course it makes you more of a woman. I don't know how that works exactly.
I'm not sure how that works.
Because we don't want the women to feel like it's going to put hair in their chest. That wouldn't be a good idea.
No, that wouldn't be good. No.
Yeah, that's right. But it's great. And Bob, the coolest part is that it really helps our homeless ministry.
Yeah.
Which really needs some help.
And I don't think you mentioned that enough, that all the proceeds from the metal shop go to the homeless ministry.
Yeah. Everything that we have for sale, all the profits go to the homeless ministry.
And you guys with the homeless ministry face quite a few issues and challenges all year round, but even more so in the winter with needing blankets and everything.
We really do. And, the weather is so erratic here. We've got, some days where it feels fairly warm, and today is one of those. It'll be 60 today. but then it'll get down to 20 something. And of course, that's not as cold as it gets there. But if you're on the streets,
oh man,
that is really cold.
yeah,
And so, about this time of the year, we're not just providing food, hot meals, but we provide a propane bottle with a burner on top.
okay,
And so they can use it to kind of keep warm. And every day when we feed every day. Every day they can bring their propane tank and refill it. We have a way to hook it up and refill it for them. And that's part of what we do every single day.
yeah,
And of
and
course, making sure that they're warm with tents and with the Mylar bags and with all the things. It's not just food, it's keeping people alive during the winter.
yeah, and the deer hunters out there know how fast the propane tank can go. Those
Yes.
little ones, and when you're homeless, we found too, they'll go until they are absolutely frigid, chilly, and everything. Then they'll fire up the propane tank, hoping
Yes.
it gets them through the night, and then
Yes,
they're out for the day until they can get
Yes.
it restocked.
absolutely. So it's a lifeline for a lot of people. I know that, and the Mylar bags, really, we call them naked bags.
Okay.
Because it retains 90% of your body heat
Yeah.
when you get into them, but you have to take your clothes off first. So we advertise them as our big slogan is "Get Naked," and we have the bags there for them to keep warm.
Yeah.
But those have saved people's lives more than once, and they tell us that that this was the only thing they had.
Well, and they're cost effective, and people that don't do homeless ministry, it can be a learning experience for them, because when we think warm sleeping bags, sometimes we think the latest and greatest from Bass Pro Shop, which are big lunky sleeping bags. Homeless people can't carry those around, so the little Mylar bags, they don't take up any space.
Exactly. And there aren't the funds to get those nice sleeping bags. I wish we could afford that. But we're continuously buying the cheapest tents and the cheapest sleeping bags that we can find so we can make the money stretch.
Yeah.
But we said all of that to say that the coffee sales, the sales on our mugs, and every month we introduce a new mug. We have the Christmas mug, and every month is a new one. Got some great ones coming up, but all of those things, and the t-shirts, and Bob, let me just show this one. This is one of our, and it could be used for Christmas, but it's one of the Born to Die shirts.
Oh, that's nice.
So cool. And it's now in hoodie, 2 different hoodie styles as well.
Oh, cool.
So we have all of that, and if they'll just go to the store, wearemetal.com, like Johnathan said, all the stuff is there. So
yeah,
I want to talk to LeeBo today about some of the concerns, and I want to get kind of raw and down to earth with him, because there are some things that we deal with that we don't really talk about. Things that the homeless community are dealing with that are pretty rough these days. So I'd like people to be aware of them, especially with prayer. We're not, I guess, at a place where we're able to handle all of the difficulties that the homeless folks go through the way we'd like to.
Yeah.
But it's been a challenge. So
and
we have LeeBo in the house?
He's not in the green room yet. So
what? Well, let me
is he on the Beeman compound somewhere? Oh, he's just coming into the room now.
Okay, good. All right, I was going to say.
Well, let me ask you this before we bring him in. And I realize this isn't a fun topic, but it's a topic nonetheless on what we're talking about. With the vaccine mandates that are happening and lots of people losing their jobs, are you finding a lot of people under the bridge that have been otherwise living a normal, life, apartment, home, whatever, have been pretty much thrusted into the homeless because, you know, a lot of people live from check to check. And have you noticed that anybody's been thrusted into this homeless living situation because they've lost their jobs over this?
Well, I don't know about them losing their job over this, but losing their jobs because a whole lot of businesses are closing.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if you're just 1 or 2 paychecks away and you don't have a safety net, you know, it's a difficult thing.
Sure.
Well, let's bring LeeBo on and let's chat about this.
All right. Hey, and I hit the wrong button, so my apologies. This is the homeless report.
Hey, that's okay.
We're just moving you around.
That's right. How are you all doing?
Yeah.
Good. How are you, LeeBo?
Good. So I'm here at our cabin where our volunteers stayed.
Yes.
Had to come over here for a second.
It looks vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know this place well, huh?
Bob, you helped to build that place.
Yeah, built it and stayed in it.
Yeah, right. So it's a cool place. Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Jim McCain says, "Hi, LeeBo."
How you doing, Jim?
That's an old friend.
Hair Lucas Johansson says you look like Sammy Hagar.
Oh,
You know, doesn't he though? I know.
I've gotten that before.
The Red Rocker in the flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I even got the red on to be the Red Rocker, right?
There you go.
See? I think that is awesome. Well, LeeBo, I wanted to talk about some aspects of homelessness today that we don't usually talk about, because I want people to know exactly what we go through and the kinds of people that really need our help. There you go. We're putting you up there with the big guys on top. All right, good. with the handsome 2 Bobs, and now we have the handsome LeeBo with us. So
it's tough competition.
Yeah. So when we serve the homeless, there are obstacles, and one of the obstacles is a criminal element that also permeates the homeless situation. Now, the homeless that are criminals used to be kind of on a different part of town. We didn't have to deal with it so much before, and since the pandemic, a lot of tents have been put up under the bridge where we serve. And in Tent City, where we also serve. And not everybody is, not everybody is easy to deal with and is above board. So, LeeBo, you had a situation, and this isn't the first time, where a young girl is on the streets trying to help her, realizing that if she stays there, she's going to be grabbed by human traffickers who are all around everywhere. And we know some people actually who are probably involved. It's a dark world on the streets as well. And this is where the hairs on the back of my neck start to stand up, because this infuriates me that this was the case. You tried to get her some help. You tried to get her into a program that specifically advertises for people that are being, victims of human trafficking, because she was on the verge of that. And
yeah, if not already. So we had this young girl. It was a couple weeks ago. I had one of the homeless guys that is, we'll just say he's the type of person you love and you try to help, but you also keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And he came up and was telling me about this young girl who had come down there with her boyfriend. They had gotten high. It was some bad stuff. Something happened with the girl, and then the guy took off, and the girl was down there, and he was telling me that this girl was being exploited, and he saw her with another guy, and she was crying, and then the girl came to eat, and I saw her, and she was probably 20 years old, and so, you know, my first response was we need to find a way to get her out of here, because
Yeah.
she really was not mentally there. Something had happened, so she was
Right.
definitely she had this really scared look on her face, like she wanted to say something but she just couldn't. And she
Yeah.
also, when you asked her questions, her responses were like really soft one word responses, and not she just, you could tell she didn't belong there. You could tell the clothes she was wearing, and she had a lot of tattoos, you know, nice tattoos, as in they cost
Yeah.
cost a good penny, and you could just tell that she had, she wasn't, she shouldn't have been homeless, I guess. But I got to hunting around. I got to asking questions. Apparently, both her parents were deceased. I'm not sure how she ended up there, but I tried to call. The first thing I tried to call was the mental co-op, and they said unless she was suicidal or homicidal, they couldn't do anything. And then I started reaching out to some folks, and one of the ladies that we work with here that picks up food for a pantry gave me the number for the sex trafficking line. I called that. They took my info, but the lady seemed really just not very interested, or just not. It was a very sterile conversation, and she was just, and I said, you guys, are you going to do something? Are you going to go down there and help this girl? She's not going to survive down there. She doesn't have anybody, and all these guys are like vultures around this young girl.
Yeah.
And they said, the lady was just like, well, I'm just going to pass the information on. And she just did it such cold. It was so cold the way she said that. And they didn't do anything. And this girl was there for about 2 weeks. We kept trying to find help. We finally, we called the other night. We called the mental co-op again. Went through the same rigmarole of, you know, them not being able to do anything unless she was a minor or unless she was in danger. But you had to prove that she was in danger. And they said we had to call the police. So we called the police, and of course, you know, they're like, if there's not a crime being committed, there's not much they can do. But we called the non-emergency line and told them what was going on, and they said they'd come out. And we waited out there for a long time, but we had to get back. It was a day that we had did grilling last Sunday, and we had folks that had to get home. And so I had one of our a couple of our trustworthy homeless folks stay with her, and later they informed me that the police didn't even arrive till 11:30 that night. We had called them at 4:30. They arrived at 11.
7.5 hours later.
Mm-hmm. And the
Yeah.
girl had already been picked up by a guy in a white van, who supposedly
Yeah, so
was taking her to
gone.
the hospital. But
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, we don't know.
No.
So
I'll tell you what bothers me. Well, a lot of things about the story bothers me, because we really have to be real help for people. But what bothers me, and I keep running into this, that there are ministries who present themselves as one thing. They raise funds, everybody gives, and they're not willing to help. It's almost like it's a scam in some ways.
They don't ever help the people who are the most vulnerable and
Yes.
immediately.
Yes.
They only want to help people who are almost already there on their own.
And we're kind of at the end of our rope knowing who to have help. You know, and you said, LeeBo, that it was, even if we could find families that would just take them in for a while till we figure out how to help them, or, you know, whatever.
This girl, and this is probably in the last 2.5 years, this has been the third person that we've run across like this, where we just couldn't get any help and they just vanished, you know?
Yeah.
And you hope for the best, you know? But this girl, what she really needed it would have been nice if there was a family that would take her in for a few days, get her cleaned up, fed, kind of
Yes.
keep an eye on her while we figured the next step.
Yes.
You know,
And LeeBo, this isn't just Nashville. This happens anywhere USA.
Yeah.
This is a continuing problem, human trafficking. But it's time for Christians to feel some responsibility. And let me just say, if you are one of those ministries that's raising money and telling people that you're helping those who are being trafficked and that this is your ministry, then you better be doing it.
yeah. I mean, I wish there was more of like when I call the sex trafficking hotline, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying the girl was necessarily at that. So to preface this with what we kind of think is going on, versus, you know, I don't want to like assume too much, but it's a good
Yeah.
educated guess. We have folks who when a girl gets down there like that, what they will do is they will keep them high so that they can basically pimp them out.
Yeah.
Right. And now this girl either was being kept high, she'd been down there for a while, or the drugs that she had taken were like really did something to her.
Yeah.
She was not in a cognitive place to make good decisions. And she was these guys were easily just leading her around. While I was there, when we were sitting and we were talking with her and trying to get to know her, see who she was, and figure out some things. I mean, there were guys.
And somebody we don't trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were guys who would come up and sit next to her trying to hit on her, you know, and I was like, no. I said, you go on. You know,
Yeah.
We're trying to help her.
Good.
Go on. She's not this girl ain't in a place to be hit on. She doesn't even know where she's at, you know.
So, LeeBo, you know, whenever we talk about the homeless ministry, people right away think about food, and of course, we serve food every day, 2 locations. But there's so much more that goes into it. That's why I wanted to talk about this today. And we've had people down there that we know are being trafficked. You had a girl that they cut off her fingertips.
Yeah.
So that she couldn't be identified. And, you know, we have all kinds of people that are on the streets. And as all of the cars and the church people drive by, they are the most vulnerable.
Yeah. It's important. We're there for food. Yeah. We're there for tents and heat and all that. But we're also there. Well, we're there. Like, I like how you put it. We're there to be family.
Yes.
And when folks need us, and the frustrating thing is when you're trying to be family, but then your hands are tied, you know.
Yeah.
When there's folks that you know that you need to do something, but every avenue of trying to help them comes to a dead end, you know. So that does get pretty frustrating.
It is difficult, but and you know, folks, we have a lot of success as well. And I don't want to paint such a bleak picture that it sounds like we're not helping. We really have some great people, we've been able to help so many and keep them going. And it is a sense of family. And I love that part of it, you know, that it is family.
Well, we'll be doing our Voices from the Streets podcast here the next couple of days. It'll be posted. And we've got some great interviews with some of the folks that are down there.
And talk about that. You've got the first episode coming up soon.
Yep. Well,
great.
You know, one thing I love about what this podcast is going to do is I think people are going to realize that these are intelligent people. They're not just some, you know, random person, you know, who just you know, obviously that we have folks that have mental illnesses and different issues, and you know, they've had life circumstances happen, One of the interviews, I've got the first 3 episodes. One of the interviews is with a man, you know as well, Moses, who came here to go to school, and his dad died. His dad was from Kenya. He's from Kenya, and his dad died.
Yes, right.
And while his dad died over there, his dad was the one paying for everything. And then all of a sudden, there was no money, and he was in
and
school.
he ended up on the street.
Yeah, and he ended up on the streets. Yeah,
right.
So,
and that's one of the stories that you've got coming up. Him telling his story, and there are others too. So, LeeBo, we appreciate people that are getting involved in the ministry, and I'm not shy about asking for finances, because that's what keeps all of this going, and it takes a lot of money to keep it going. We appreciate that people are purchasing the coffee and all the stuff we have in the store, but it takes people being involved, and we really need volunteers. If you're in the Nashville area, man, we could use your help. We just can't find volunteers right now.
Yeah. I mean, in this particular situation with the girl who's her first name is Diane. Diane, in the situation, it would have been nice to have a list of numbers of volunteers of especially having a woman who's a motherly type that would have been able to come.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Huge
need.
It seems, something like that goes a long ways in an emergency situation. Like I said, we've got 3 girls in the past 2.5 years that one girl a couple years ago, actually, Ruth Ann was down here, and we went down there and we waited for the mental co-op people at that time. We thought this girl was a minor. We couldn't tell. She was just sitting out in the open in soiled jogging pants and didn't say anything and was just rocking and just, there wouldn't sleep in a tent. She was sleeping on the pile of garbage, and she wouldn't sleep actually in a sleeping bag or a tent. And we called the mental co-op, and they asked her how old she was. She said she was 31. She didn't look 31. I don't know. But because of that, they said they couldn't do anything. And they just left her there. And we had nowhere to go. And, you can't just take people and put them in your car. It's called kidnapping.
Right. When you see that people obviously need help, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, LeeBo, thanks, and we're looking forward to the podcast coming up. You've done 3 of them so far, so we've got them in the hopper, as they say, and the first one will be up soon, and we look forward to that happening. You rock.
Thank you, y'all.
Thanks, LeeBo.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye. LeeBo.
It is disturbing. Some of the best successes we've seen is when a young lady like that would come in, and a empty nest couple or just a husband and wife sort of situation, they take them in. They say, okay, the shelters are good, but we're going to take this one in and actually have so-and-so live with us until they get on their feet again. That's when some of the greatest success stories happen.
Absolutely.
And, going back to what you said, Pastor Bob, about organizations that say we do these things and they take money and then they really don't do anything with it. Shame on them.
Absolutely.
They in Wisconsin here, just from the Foundations for Living that I work with. So we have the warming shelter right in the building for homeless men. We sent out an email to 40 churches in our city and surrounding area asking who would be willing to house a women's warming shelter. And I don't say this boastfully or bragging or anything, but only the church I pastor responded and said, yes, we will. And our church isn't that big.
No.
But in Wisconsin, churches are exempt from warming shelter laws. So we can house as many as we want. But out of 40 churches, and there's some really big ones, only one little church replied and said, yes, we'll house them, because They're just afraid, I'm working with one right now. It's going to take another month and a half to go through the board and the committee and all of these things. And I'm thinking, are you serious? They're like, number one, the foundation that is asking has liability insurance, if that's the big elephant in the room for churches. And if you're waiting for God to speak to you on this, just reread your Bible. It's already there.
He's already asked. It's not, you don't have to wait for anything.
It's mind-blowing how much we're in, we say, churches say, and I'm coming from a pastor that pastor's a brick and mortar church. We say we're into outreach and helping the lost and blah, blah, blah. But so they throw a candy carnival. Whoop-de-doo. I don't consider that really outreach. It's more of a pizzazz, shock and awe sort of event. The rubber hits the road, though, when you open for us, our newly remodeled preschool room into a place where homeless women are now staying every night.
Yes. Good
Last night they were there, and on and on.
Good for you. That's so awesome. And Bob, that's what the church is for.
Yeah.
The body of Christ. Absolutely.
As I said on Sunday, you could call me Butter because I'm on a roll when I start talking about that kind of stuff.
Me too. And those little hairs, little tiny hairs on the back of my neck. When we talk about this stuff, I really have to hold back.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm not a person that gets angry, but I do get angry with this one.
Oh yeah.
There's just
it makes you wonder how many
need, and the church could do it.
It makes you wonder, and Lord, I pray I'm not in that group, but it makes you wonder how many people on that day the Lord's going to say, "Depart from me, I never knew you."
Yeah, yeah.
Because
it isn't a club; it's a relationship.
It is.
Well, is Andreas in the house?
I got this guy with a long goatee sitting in our waiting room. I don't know. Should we welcome him in?
Let's bring him in. I love that guy.
Hey, Andreas.
It's good to see you, dude.
It's probably one of the most well-groomed beards I have seen.
Can I just say that Andreas's cool factor is through the roof?
Yes,
through the roof. So, Andreas, did you catch a little bit about what we were just talking about?
I caught the last part from LeeBo.
Yeah.
And then actually I caught what you just said, Bob Adams, with "Depart from me, because I never knew you." That is the exact passage that I've been meditating on the last 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 25, the goats and the sheep.
Yes,
absolutely.
And if you don't mind, can I share it? Right?
Yeah, please.
So I've been often I get tattoos with scriptures or imagery for me to remember scriptures, and I was actually thinking about getting the to-do list of scriptures from Matthew 25. Feed the hungry, give water to the thirsty, shelter,
yes,
and clothes to the ones who need that. Visit people in prisons, and then I realized that I don't want to fall into the trap of legalism and the human deception of thinking that we can earn our way if we're just good enough. So I ended up not getting that tattoo, and then I just had to read my Bible some more and meditate so I could start to remember it without that image, because it comes out of the heart of understanding God's heart for us.
Yes.
And out of that love and passion that we want to just show the love of Christ, not because it's a list that we have. So that's definitely something that I'm trying to grow in still.
And I've heard a lot of sermons preached on that, but I got to say the best sermon I've ever preached done in song form is when Keith Green does the Song of the Sheep and Goats live in concert.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, it's so convicting.
I grew up on that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So Andreas, let's give a little history, because I'd like to lay a little bit of foundation. I have known Andreas for a few years. I met him at Bob Fest in Sweden. Andreas is from Denmark. When you were a teenager, Andreas, way long time ago. Just kidding.
Before I could grow a beard. Yeah,
that's right. Yes. But anyway, and Andreas has been one of my dearest friends for so long, and I love him more than I can tell you. Andreas also used to travel with me back in the day. We've been to a lot of countries, a lot of festivals,
all over.
You know, a lot of stuff together, which I totally enjoyed. But I've always appreciated his heart as a deacon. And, you know, the Bible talks about a deacon, and Andreas actually went to school to become a deacon. That's what his schooling and his degree is in. And Andreas, you went from there, and you worked in a homeless shelter in Denmark. You've had a real heart for people. You've worked in the homeless ministry with us here in Nashville in the past. And but this is the heart of a deacon, and it's twofold. It's a heart to get involved with people and to love them where they're at. And it's also a heart to get other people involved and to show them how to love those people as well. So, Andreas, it must feel like, it must feel exciting and a burden at the same time when you feel drawn to a certain group of people that you know are hurting, that you know need your care. Tell us a little bit about that. How does a deacon feel when it comes to working with people?
Yeah, so I'm still human. So sometimes I still have those. I'm too tired to do something to help others.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Literally examples was living in Nashville, helping feeding under the bridge. My wife Amanda and I were feeding on Saturdays. We started picking that up because there was not really, there was definitely a need for it.
Yes.
And it's a lot of work for sure. We all know that. And it was like, I think one of the good things is there's no way to alert our friends on the street that we had to cancel. So we just had to show up because
yes, that's right.
I think if we had an easy way out, we might have taken it a few times. So we would go down, and then I would always be so hyped up afterwards because the meeting with people and how we it's encouraging me so much. So there's definitely a burden, and one of the things I had to grow in was realizing that I'm just one person. I have limited resources, but I do have resources that God has given me.
Yes.
And then I want to steward that well, which I guess is also in Matthew 25, the talents, using those. So I quickly realized that I'm not able to hand out money, but I am able to hand out food, and I am able to listen actively, so make people feel heard,
which is the biggest
cared
gift.
for.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I also learned that I actually have the ability to make people feel that they have a purpose. And so in the sense, God showed me that in great ways, where coming down under the bridge, setting up the tables, handing out food. There's only Amanda, who was severely pregnant, and me.
I remember. Yeah.
And then a line of people, and it's like, oh, we thought that that we're gonna have some friends coming and helping. Oh well, and then just grabbing asking a couple of people and asking if they can help us. And those has been the most precious moments where, especially some of the homeless ladies, they were just so thankful that they were allowed to serve with us. Yes. They thanked me over and over again, and thanked Amanda that they were allowed to hand out food to their friends on the street. And I think that's one of the really, really great gifts that we as Christians need to be aware of, that we are not just I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. You just have to
Yes.
receive. We have to invite people in, be a part of it, ownership, and feel that they have a purpose because they do. God has given all of us a
Absolutely.
purpose. Sometimes as Christians, we steal that purpose from others. I think, especially others in need. So.
Well, very well said.
Mhm.
Very well said. And the phrase that you just said that I love that I'm going to remember is that Amanda was severely pregnant. I think that should be a new thing. When you're at that point where you're ready to deliver, you are severe. And I'm sure women feel that way. But when you did have Axel, he was days old when you brought him under the bridge and started him right away in ministry.
Yeah. It's just the most natural thing for him.
Yes.
To like different people.
Yes. He's a
different
lover.
life circumstances.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yes, God is using him incredibly.
Yes.
7 years now.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's hard to believe he's 7. Whew. So, Andreas, we have people that are sitting on the fence. And I don't usually get so in your face with people that I do this, but I'm in that mood today. Are you, Bob?
Yeah, I as I go through the holidays, the Christmas season, I am and we've always had outreach focus at our church, but now working with this nonprofit warming shelter as well, I find that finger flying a little bit more, and I also find that the responses yielding another response that you've made famous, Pastor Bob, and that's simply,
And here's the great thing, Andreas, that it doesn't matter where you are. And we have people that are watching right now from all over the world.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where you are. There are people who need you around you. And that as a deacon, your heart goes to them immediately. But it really works that way for all of us. Maybe not with the same intensity, but it's something that Christ asks us to do. He said, if you love me, I want you to love one another. And that agape love is the thing that carries us. And Andreas, you fall in love with the people, don't you, that you're serving?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
I think one of the most frustrating things for folks that serve the homeless and all of that, the most frustrating time of the year is the warm and squishy time of year for everybody else, and that's Christmas time.
Yeah.
Because, people want that photo op. They want themselves to feel good about it. And, this is the time of year everybody wants to volunteer, but then all of a sudden it goes away pretty quick.
Yeah. I always tell people that there are 2 days out of the year that churches remember that people are homeless. And that's Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's serving. There's so many churches that make nice gift baskets, gift bags for people, and they hand them out. And Andreas, that they all end up in the dumpster because they get 50 of them and they can't use it. They are homeless. And I always tell people, please don't do that. Do that in June. Do that in April. Do that at another time of the year when they can actually use the stuff that's in that bag. They're going to throw this away. They're homeless. But we feel like we've done our part if we've been involved with something like that, especially at Christmas. But it's not just a Christmas thing, is it?
No,
that's important.
Living life. As
it
life
is living
goes by
life. That's
with
right.
People. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we have traditionally taken Thanksgiving and Christmas off, as you know, Andreas, because everybody else is serving. And we decided this year that that's violating our foundations. If there's ever a time when you need to have family around you, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so we had a wonderful time with the homeless on Thanksgiving, and we will do it again on Christmas Day and have a great time with them. And it's as we come into the Christmas season, Andreas, what would be your advice for people? How can we love people as Christ loved us?
I'm thinking, so who's lonely, who might not have family? Who do you think have family and are being cared for, but not? So just step outside. And even Amanda and I were talking about the different neighbors we have around. And most of them are retired, and we're not sure if all of them have, or who has kids coming home for Christmas, or if somebody are sitting by themselves. Why not just invite them over? Or if that's too much
Awesome.
for you and your family traditions, bring something, cookies and a card.
Awesome.
So especially like inviting people to have Christmas meal with you. That can seem like a big sacrifice, but it's most often the biggest blessings that you can give yourself and your kids.
Huge.
Just, yeah, because isn't that like if the Christmas message? Like,
well,
yeah.
Yes, and it's probably the one time of the year that you feel very alone if you're not with family, isn't it?
Yeah. And let's be honest, how many families actually, when they make Christmas dinner, have a mountain of leftovers? So to add another person or two would not be a big deal at all. It's all about comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a Christmas that you'll remember. It's not just going to be one in out of the last 10 where you're the same family. So my parents has been a great example. So I've had the joy of
they're good at
having
that.
Christmas with the lonely people from the village. Sometimes it was a little hard to breathe because the sweet smell of alcohol was really strong. But it was a Christmas to remember, and it made a lot of sense.
Your parents are so good at that. And the little village of Philip. Say it.
Philip. But you taught me that it's like fill her up, going to the gas station, fill her up.
Fill her up at the gas station, A nice little village, and I've been there many times and stayed there in Denmark. And but it doesn't matter how small the village is. There are people who are hurting and people who need our love, especially this time of the year. So it's about family. It's not about gifts necessarily. It's about the gift of love. And no greater love hath any man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. And that's what we remember on Christmas, is that Jesus died for us, and the babe in the manger became the savior of the world. So it's a good time to celebrate. Well, Andreas, thank you so much. So good to see you today, dude.
Good to see you.
I'm glad it worked. Good to see you both.
I missed you.
I love this show. This is the real deal.
Yes,
awesome.
and we had the girls on earlier, Andreas.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get, so I'll have to watch it afterwards. I saw them live one time, and I've only heard good things about them. And the live show is definitely, they deliver. It's awesome.
Maybe this will be a good end to have them on the sanctuary stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice idea. Very good. Well, awesome. Andreas, thank you. I know that your time is short, so I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day. And just one more thing, Andreas. You rock. He does.
He does.
He does. Yeah, he does. And, we were just talking when we started that it's Bob and I have this cross that we have to bear, that we're this good looking, two of us in one show. But I just noticed that, look at those three people on the screen right now.
Yes.
Just saying.
I'm just basking in your shade. It's fine.
I love you, my friend. Thank you again.
Cool. Thank you,
Andreas.
Bye-bye. He's a blessing.
All bearded men. Yes. So.
Yes. Bob, did we have any other questions that we didn't answer today?
Nothing else came in question-wise. Outside of
great comments.
The typical, how are you doing, and all that stuff. But really been doing good. And Gary Ireton said it's time to shave your head, PB1.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Now,
So
some
yeah,
people
there's
look good with the shaved head. You're one of them. You look great with it. Me, not so much.
so
Yeah.
well, thank you,
So,
Sonic Grace. But
so Bob, a few years ago, if you remember, for April Fool's Day,
mhm.
I said that I cut all my hair off, and I had somebody show me bald,
I
and
remember that.
and a lot of people believed it, and a whole lot of people, after they found out that it wasn't real, said, "Please never do that." So I guess now we know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. That's a good thing.
it
So,
is.
well, we're gonna have some exciting shows ahead, and
Yes,
certainly, once again, if anybody wants to shoot us questions to address on this show, here's the email address on the screen. And of course, we'd love to hear from you. And remember what Pastor Bob said: if you want to be on our segment, "Where Are You?" Email this link and let us know so we can have you live on the show, broadcasting from where you live or on vacation, wherever the case may be.
absolutely. And anywhere around the world.
Yep.
So, Bob, on the next show, we've got Greg Manier, who's going to be with us from
Awesome.
Applehead and the Crucified. And we've got Tim Pope, the old drummer for Ray Charles. You can't get more opposite musical style than that.
Right.
So this will
That's
be
one end
fun.
of the spectrum to the other.
Yes, exactly. And as always, we've got some reports, we've got some great comments, and hopefully we'll have you joining us next week. So, Bob, this has been fun once again.
Very good
Enjoy
show.
this time with you. And there we go.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.